Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the second part of my Ovika Enigma Goliath video series. This one will feature the non-creature spells that highlights the Ovika deck. So just a quick little recap of Ovika's ability. For 5 of blue and of red, you get a legendary creature, Phyrexian Nightmare. It's a 6/6 with flying, and also 2 instances of ward. You gotta pay 3 mana and pay 3 life to target this Goliath. There's the Phyrexian oil slick, I think is what it's called, something like that. Race foil something. And then the rest of the effect is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create X/1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell. They gain haste until end of turn. So just want to cast big spells, create goblins, and then use those goblins to win. So just straight off the bat, these are cards that originally I wanted to put them in the top 10, but they feel kind of like auto includes. So I'm gonna leave these up to y'all. These are more like honorable mentions, cards that I think people will think about pretty quickly about including in this deck. So a couple of those are things like Jessica's Will. I mean, this is a pretty much staple in every red deck, so didn't want to have it take up a spot on my top 10. So there's Jessica's honorable mention. Second honorable mention is Temporal Manipulation. I mean, extra turn spell. They're kind of auto includes in blue decks. So yeah, this is here. So there's those two, and then the other ones are things like Twinferno, things that you copy spells. So another thing that kind of is like an auto include in red and blue decks, things that copy. And then my last one, this is the true number 11, barely didn't make the list. Overmaster. So this card, Overmaster, is 1 red mana for a sorcery spell. The next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn can't be countered. Draw a card. So you get protection to a spell of your choice, well, the next spell that you cast, and you get to draw a card. So 1 mana gives you your next spell protection and lets you draw a card. This was the number 11 on my list, the last thing that I cut from it. So that being said, those are the honorable mentions for the deck list. And let's get into it now. Starting at number 10, this was my favorite spell that I put into this deck. I pulled this back in, I believe it was February of last year, February 2022. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty had just came out. So I was cracking packs, having a lot of fun, and I pulled this mythic that just sat in my trade binder for a good while, like almost a year, I think. And that is at number 10, Explosive Singularity. So for 8 and 2 red, a sorcery speed spell that is, as an additional cost to cast a spell, you may tap any number of untapped creatures you control. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature tapped this way. Explosive Singularity deals 10 damage to any target. So the reason why I have this spell in here is because you're making goblins with Ovika, and you can then tap those goblins for the colorless here. So you still have to pay the 2 red. This isn't a convoke effect, but it works in the same way. But you can only tap down creatures for the colorless in this. You still have to pay the 2 red. So that's why it's at 10. That's why it's falling down my list of rankings here. But yeah, Explosive Singularity, so much fun. Just gives you a big, just 10 damage to the face, which in Commander, usually not the best unless you're using this to finish someone off, because everyone has 40 life. Or if someone has just a big creature on the field, you can just use this to kill that. And then you make 10 goblins off of it, and you have 10 little hasty goblins that are just ready to go at someone. So unless you can really kill someone, this is very situational, but I do like the high cost of it. I do like that you get to make 10 goblins off of it if Ovika's out, which she should be out if you're casting all these big spells. And yeah, I just feel like if you can get this down for 2 red to deal 10 damage or something, why not, right? So that's why Explosive Singularity is at 10. And there's a close-up shot of it. If you need to read it, feel free to pause. There you go. All right. On to number 9. So this one might be a bit kind of out there for some of y'all. See that right there. A lot of y'all probably have this card if y'all are like me and just open bundles like crazy, and then we'll just do nothing with the promos. So the number 9 on my list is Wand of Wonder. So this is a promo from Commander Legends Baldur's Gate, and it reads, it's 3-1 red for an artifact, and you pay 4, tap it, roll a d20. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card and shuffle the rest into their library. You may cast up to X instant and or sorcery spells from among the cards exiled this way without paying the mana cost. So you're getting a cast off of this. As it comes out, if Ovika's out, you create 4 goblins. Now, you have to pay 4 mana to roll the dice, and you tap this. But you're getting to play off of other people's libraries, which is a lot of fun. It brings a lot of randomness to the game, lets you waste their stuff, lets you look at what they have coming up, lets you rearrange their libraries. And then, even if you get to just cast one of those spells and you're going to hit 3 of them, you get to choose the best of those 3. You get to cast it for free. And this is on cast, so whenever you cast something, Ovika triggers, so you still get to cast it. The important thing is that it's the cast reading here. So with the cast, you get a free spell. You play off of your opponent's libraries, and you make goblins. So with this deck, I try to go for as much randomness and as much fun and just crazy stuff that can happen in this deck. And Wand of Wonder is a big piece of that. I've never hit the 3 to be able to cast all 3 spells, but usually it's the X's 2, and I get to cast 2 spells for free. And if those spells are anywhere from 3 to 6 mana, which most decks you're gonna see a lot of 2 to 4 drops, 5 drops. But I mean, you're still gonna make like goblins off of that. And spoiler warning, there is a big spell at number 1 that's gonna really play off of these goblins really well. It's a pretty new spell too. So yeah, Wand of Wonder is at number 9. At number 8 today, Sunbird's Invocation. So we're looking for a lot of things that let us cast multiple spells at a time. And Sunbird's Invocation lets us do that. So for 5 and a red, it's an enchantment. Whenever you cast a spell from your hand, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is that spell's mana value. You may cast a spell with mana value X or less from among cards revealed this way without paying its mana cost. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So why this is so fun is it lets you cycle through your library, let you get through a lot of cards, let you see a lot of things that you have coming up. And if, say, I cast Explosive Singularity, that's 10 mana. I get to now look at the top 10 cards of my library and cast anything from them for free. And it's not even non-creature. If you need a creature out, if you need an enchantment out, if you need something out, this just makes it so much fun. So you're getting this down with Ovika, or even before Ovika. This is 6 mana, Ovika 7. But the next thing that you cast, you get another free cast from your library. You get to cycle through your deck. Like, I go through my deck so quickly with this and with other cards like this, and it makes it a lot of fun. It gives you a ton of options, and it's constantly got you playing. And it's whenever you cast a spell from your hand, yeah. So and this triggers every time you cast something from your hand, regardless of if it's on your turn or not, because it doesn't specify your turn or only once per turn. So you can just keep getting just free casts of stuff, and it's just so much fun, so random, and really gets the game moving when you start stacking up goblins everywhere. All right, moving on to number 7. Big spell here. Big spell. Apex of Power. So if you can see right down here in the bottom left, so we have that C21. So Commander 21 was the Izzet deck for Strixhaven. And the whole point of that deck was to cast spells, I think, of 10 mana or greater, or 8 mana, or something like that, where you just want to cast big spells. So I took that precon, I took all those big spells out of it, and they fit perfectly in Ovika. But I feel they do a little bit better in Ovika because of the extra goblins that you generate. And it just makes paying for spells a lot easier when you have things like Convoke and things like Give Convoke, and you have a lot of mana. And these goblins are just so much fun to use. So Apex of Power, 7 and 3 red, sorcery speed, mythic. Exile the top 7 cards of your library. Till end of turn, you may cast spells from among them. If this spell is cast from your hand, add 10 mana of any one color. So there are spells that let me exile cards like Jessica's Will. But if this is being cast from your hand, you're getting essentially 10. It pays for itself if you can pay the 10 mana for it, which is great. And you get to exile top 7, which gives you a ton of options to look at. So now you get to add either 10 red or 10 blue or 10 of black, white, green. Doesn't really matter in those colors, but 10 red or 10 blue. You get to cast those things until the end of your turn. And those are cast. You have Ovika. You create a lot of goblins. So yeah, this is a newer add to the deck. I haven't yet seen it in action, but I have a lot of hope and potential in this one. So I'll update y'all later on how it does play in my play group. Usually a lot of these big spells get off because for the big surprise at 1, y'all see it. At number 6, yes, at 6, we have Mizzix's Mastery. So for 3 in a red, you have a sorcery speed rare. It reads, exile target card that's an instant or sorcery card, instant or sorcery from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it. And you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost, exile Mizzix's Mastery. Or you can pay the overload cost of it, which is 5 and 3 red. You may cast this spell for its overload cost. If you do, change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. So now it now reads with the overload cost, exile target card. Actually, exile each card that's an instant sorcery card from your graveyard. For each card exile this way, copy, and you may cast a copy without paying its mana cost. So now you get to just exile and cast everything that's in your graveyard. And it can get really out of hand because then you get the trigger off of this. So you're paying the 8 mana for it. And then you're going to get the triggers off of, say, you exile Apex of Power and Explosive Singularity. And even just little card draw spells that are in here, like you have Opt, you have Consider, you have Strategic Plannings in this deck, Prologue to Phyresis is in this deck. Just a bunch of stuff that lets you draw cards. And they're all just 1 or 2 mana. But all those 1 or 2 manas will add up and you'll get a lot more goblins. And with those goblins, you get to just swarm everybody with goblins. A lot of fun, can cause a lot of chaos on the board. And you can even do it just to kind of save yourself, because Ovika's a target. The ward is a heavy price to pay, though, for a lot of people. They don't want to spend the 3 mana. And when you have a lot of 1/1s running around, that 3 life can really, really get up there pretty quickly as well. So that's at number, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6. Yeah, so now we move into the top 5. At number 5, Seize the Spotlight. Perfect early game spell for this deck. 2 in a red, you have sorcery speed. Each opponent chooses Fame or Fortune. For each player who chooses Fame, gain control of a creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures and they gain haste until end of turn. For each player who chooses Fortune, you draw a card and create a treasure token. So this is great. Great card for early game because they probably don't want to give you their creatures they're using to set up their board with. If you get this down turn 3, 4, 5, it's gonna be early enough in the game where they're gonna be like, just take the treasure, draw a card. And if you even get 2 people to say that, that's amazing. You're gonna get 2 free treasure tokens and 2 card draws for 3 mana. And if you take someone's creature, you just ram it into someone, and if they want to block it, they block it. And they kill it. So a lot of fun with this card right here. In this deck, we just need to generate 7 mana as quickly as possible. Like, we need to get to 7, get Ovika down, and we start just causing mayhem. And this accelerates that plan. This gives you the treasures, this gives you the extra card draws, gets you to your lands, so you don't miss land drops, so you don't miss your Soul Ring, your Arcane Signet, those things. So very important card in the deck. It's one of those that really gets the deck moving and really shines in this deck. Okay, there's Seize Spotlight. And now at number 4, a personal favorites of mine. Going back to C21, you're going to see a lot of these cards in here. A lot of C21 here. Muse Vortex. So for X and 2 blue, sorcery speed, exile the top X cards of your library. You may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value extra less from among them without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled instant sorcery cards that weren't cast this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So why this is so great is because you cast this, say you do X's, so assuming you have Ovika out, you at least have 7 mana. Say this is a turn right after you play Ovika, so you get your land drop, and you play this Muse Vortex. Say X is 6. So you create X goblins just right away. So X goblins, 8 goblins just right away. Now you get the extra cash from the other thing that you exile. So now, say we go and get Seize the Spotlight. Now we get another 3 mana off of Seize the Spotlight. Or not 3 mana, an extra 3 goblins off of Seize the Spotlight. And then we get that Seize the Spotlight trigger as well. So now we get treasures, card draw, or we get creatures from them. You might just get stuck with like a lot of tokens during this, depending on what's where the board's at. But I mean that's fine, because then you get to add all the other instants and sorceries into your hand. And granted, your opponents do know what you have in your hand, but usually if you get this off, it doesn't matter because you're probably just gonna win at that point. So yeah, this just refills your hand, gives you just fresh options, gives you 2 casts, which generates more value for Ovika, which is all that you want in this deck. You want to make as many goblins as possible, as quickly as possible. And that's Muse Vortex for you at number 4. At number 3, once again, C21. Epic Experiment. So for X, blue, and red, you get a sorcery speed, exile the top X card through your library. You may cast instant sorcery spells with mana extra less from among them without paying their mana cost. Then put all cards exiled this way that weren't cast into your graveyard. So the reason why I have this above Muse Vortex is because you get the X cost too. So say, same thing, turn after, you get X is 6. So you exile top 6. Let's say we hit, so we exile top 6, and you can cast instant and sorcery spells, so multiple, with mana value extra less from among them without paying their mana cost. So you're casting this for 8 mana, and then we get to exile and cast anything that's 8 mana or less. So even if you hit 3 things, say it's a 2, a 4, and then like a 3, and that's 8 goblins right there, and then you get it 8 off of Epic Experiment as well. 16 1/1 goblins with haste. And then you get the effects of those other cards as well. And this is now in your graveyard. You do put the other stuff that you don't use into your graveyard. But, I mean, we're really just looking for the goblins here. And there are good creatures in this deck. Check out my other video. I'll put a link in the description down below. But yeah, just value. This deck generates just so much value through goblins and casting extra stuff for free. So that's at 3. At number 2, Arcane Bombardment, a sleeper from Street of New Capenna. For 4 and 2 red, you get an enchantment. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard. Then copy each card exiled with Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana cost. So why this is number 2 is because it is a hard-hitting card in this deck. Ovika's already out. You play this, instant 6 mana. Easy. Now you get to play, say, a 2 mana draw spell. Play it. And then that triggers this. So now we exile the card from our graveyard. Say we have Apex of Power in our graveyard. And then we exile this. It stacks under here. And then we get to copy this. So then, and then you may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana cost. So now that it's exiled under this, to copy it, cast it, 10 more goblins, exile top 7 cards again, and it just keeps stacking, and then you'll eventually end up with, so this will never be in your graveyard, so that will never get exiled under here, but same thing, like Seize the Spotlight, and then now you get 2 triggers of, so next thing you cast, first spell you cast, you get these 2, and then you get card draw spells under here, you get all kinds of things, and it just gets out of hand, and at that point, most people just quit the game already. So yeah, very fun. A lot of fun. A lot of randomness. A lot of people being bit upset. But, I mean, they're your friends for a reason, right? So, Arcane Bombardment, heavy hitter in this deck. And would have been the number one if not for the newest edition from a new set. And, of course, I am talking about Invasion of Segovia. So, this battle reads to Battle Siege for 2 and a blue. And it's, as a siege enters, choose an opponent to protect it. You and others can attack it. When it's defeated, exile it, then cast it transformed. So, when Invasion of Segovia enters the battlefield, create a 2/1/1 blue Kraken creature tokens with trample. But that is not the important thing. The important thing is on the back. It has 4 toughness as a battle. So, if you play Standard, you know about this card. If you play Commander, you probably know about this card already too. Cadus, Sea Tyrant of Segovia. 3/3 legendary creature serpent. Non-creature spells you cast have convoke. That's why this is the most important card in this deck. I try to get to it as quickly as I can. There are no tutors in this deck. I do not tutor at all in Magic. Unless it's like white, but I mean, whatever. So yeah, non-creature spells you cast have convoke, which means your creatures can help cast those spells. Each creature you tap while casting non-creature spell pays for 1 colorless or 1 mana of that creature's color. To be noted, your goblins are red, so they all can tap for red mana. This creates 2 blue Krakens, so those can tap for 2 blue as well. This is also a blue creature, so it can also tap for blue. And then at the beginning of your end step, untap up to 4 target creatures. So, very, 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 very important card. I think the most important card in this deck, because it gives everything convoke, and then you just get to just use your goblins, and you tap them all. And now for all your expos, like Epic Experiment and Muse Vortex, you get to just tap, where if you have 20 goblins out, X is 20, and you create 22, 22, and it just gets out of hand. And at that point, everyone just quits. So yeah, giving this and getting this is very important for this deck. Just get this out as quickly as possible, and you pretty much always win. It's a bit of a salty card, but people know when it's coming. People know what it does. And then the extra added benefit if at the beginning of your end step, untap up to 4 target creatures. So there's that too. It lets you untap things. So yeah, that is my top 10 non-creature spells for Ovika, Enigma, Goliath. Let me just run it back for y'all real quick so y'all can see every card. We're going to start here at number 10, Explosive Singularity. There's a quick read of it for y'all. Wand of Wonder. Sunbird's Invocation. 7, Mystic's Mastery. 6, Apex of Power. 5, Seize the Spotlight. 4, Muse Vortex. 3, Epic Experiment. 2, Arcane Bombardment. And number 1, Invasion of Segovia. So yeah, let me know what y'all think. If you have any other spells that you would recommend to put in this deck. I like to use the big spells in this deck. I mean, there's a bunch of X spells. This is 6 mana, 10 mana, 8 mana, 6 mana, 4 mana, and then 4 to pay. 10 mana. Like, you use a lot of mana in this deck. It's a lot of high cost stuff. So, I mean, I feel like it's a fair deck. It's not like the high cost spells are very expensive and they're very powerful, but they cost a lot of mana to cast. So board wipes, things that give counters, like -1/-1 counters to your goblins, like those will all work. But I mean, this deck has been very, very hard to stop. It normally wins, and it's a very fun deck to play. I really enjoy playing this. I wasn't a big fan of blue or red, to be honest. I primarily dabble in white and black. But yeah, this has been a fun foray into red and blue. So yeah, hope y'all like it. Hope y'all enjoyed. This will be the 3rd video out. The 2nd one on this deck. So let me know what y'all think. If you have any recommendations, put them down in the comments. And with that, bye.